Welcome to the Gridiron Round-Up with your host, Randy Silver. We go over the biggest stories every day from our favorite game, football. Today we have your college football week 3 review, storylines, scores, game review, and standings. Let's waste no time and let's get into it. Hot off the press, literally while we're filming, great timing, we got this for y'all. AP polls released, top 25. Week 3 is on the left, so previous week. Week 4 is on the right, that is the current week, literally just released. Georgia stays number 1 at 3-0. Michigan stays number 2. Florida State falls down one after their game where they beat Boston College and they look faulted. Texas move up to number 3. So now your top 4 are Georgia, Michigan, Texas, Florida State, where last week it was Georgia, Michigan, Florida State, Texas. USC Idle stays number 5. Rounding out the top 6, you have Ohio State. You got Penn State at 7 still, Washington at 8 still, Notre Dame at 9. 10 in the new one is Oregon, while in the old one there was Alabama. Alabama did not look good in their win, so they fell down to 13. So now your 10 in the new one are Oregon, Utah, LSU, Alabama, Oregon State, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, North Carolina, Duke, Boulder, and Miami. In that case, Oregon moved up 3. Utah moved up 1, LSU moved up 2, Alabama down 3, and then Oregon State up 2, Ole Miss up 2, Oklahoma up 3, North Carolina up 3, Duke up 3, Colorado down 1. You know, they were playing Colorado State, was unranked. Should have made an easier win. They were a 21-point favorite. Still got the win, but not as convincing as you would think. Washington State up 2, UCLA up 2. Tennessee losing to Florida down 12, still stay ranked. Florida move in with that win. And Iowa moves up 1. So you can see here Iowa moved up 1. UCLA moved up. Washington State. Miami still in there. Duke, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Colorado, Ole Miss, Oregon State, Kansas State. So Kansas State dropped out with their loss. That's what it looks like. LSU, Oregon, Utah. So the new entrant is Florida. Kansas State dropped out. We're going to look here at others receiving votes. Clemson, Missouri, Kansas State, TCU, Fresno State, Kansas, Tulane, Kentucky, Maryland, BYU, Wisconsin, Syracuse, Louisville, Auburn. So Kansas State dropped out. Florida beating Tennessee move in. This is your new AP Week 4 just released. Comment your thoughts. Of course, subscribe, and we'll keep you updated as these get released week over week. Georgia, Michigan, Texas, and Florida State, top 4. Rounding out your top 10, USC, Ohio State, Penn State, Washington, and Notre Dame, plus ending with Oregon. That's your AP top 25 for week 4. The biggest story of football yesterday, Colorado Buffaloes versus Colorado State Rams. Buffaloes win in double overtime, 43-35. Let's dive into the game a little bit for you. Sanders, his dad, of course, is the coach. 38 of 47 for 348 yards. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Ben Fowler for Colorado State, 34 for 47, 367 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Whose name you're not going to see here on the game leaderboard for Colorado is Travis Hunter. Unfortunately, he got hurt and actually had to go to the hospital, so we're going to go there really quickly. Here's a photo tweeted out from the hospital room. Travis Hunter's okay, great news. And he got the W, which always makes the pain feel a bit better. This was the play right here. It was a throw to him on the sideline. Late hit. Ball was already out of his hands. It wasn't going to be a catch. So you can see the play right there. We're going to show you another angle of it right here. Give it 1 second. So you can see him laying on the ground. Sanders came up, supporting his guy, protecting his guy. This player for Colorado State did not get ejected from the game. Probably should have. I mean, if you get called for targeting, you get ejected. This was just a late hit on the wide receiver. It wasn't targeting. I disagree with that. A lot of people on social media, LeBron James, disagree with that. So you can see he was on the ground in pain. He came back for a split second, but then left the game at halftime, never came back. So here it is. Ball's nowhere near him. Straight shot to the ribs. Hopefully he'll be okay. They announced that he'll probably be out for a couple weeks. That means he'll miss Colorado playing Oregon, who's national ranked, and USC national ranked. 2 massive Pac-12 games, which will be a loss. Obviously, he's a versatile player for them on offense and plays defense, 2-way player, so they're going to really miss that. Some other thoughts on Twitter. NCAA should review the play and suspend Colorado State safety Henry Blackburn indefinitely. Clear intent to injure. There was a lot of spice coming into this game, and we'll talk about that next. So hopefully Travis Hunter will be okay. What was the spice coming into this game? Colorado State coach Jay Novell said that Sanders should take his glasses off and hat off when he's talking to adults. That's how he was taught. This happened on Wednesday. This blew up social media. This blew up all over television. What did Sanders do? He gave his whole players his own sunglasses line with the company Blenders. That's amazing marketing from Blenders. We'll talk about this in a second. And it helped Sanders' business, and we'll show you why. He gave all the players. He went on First Take. The Rock was wearing glasses. Pat McPhee, all the First Take people, all the SportsCenter people, anybody College Game Day who was at Colorado was wearing the glasses and talking about it. And then you can see here Deion Sanders Blenders interest over time absolutely skyrocketed. Deion Sanders said the company made $1.2 million in sales on Friday alone just from the interest in his glasses. Wild. That is chess, not checkers. And whoever at Blenders signed Sanders to the marketing deal, endorsement deal, is getting paid. Unbelievable. As we said, Smith was wearing it. Shan Sharp was wearing it. The Rock was wearing it. So this all led up to the game, which made this game even more amazing. 43-35 win for Colorado. When we look here, win probability, Colorado State was up for a lot of this game. 98% chance to win. 28-20 Colorado with 1:36 left. Colorado had to go 98 yards to get a touchdown to tie the game, and made 2 to send it to overtime, and then of course went to double overtime. So you have to say Colorado State had their opportunities, especially in that first half. They really played significantly well, was shutting down Colorado's offense, and then in the second half, Colorado got deep, resilient, was able to pull out the win. When we look here at the scoring summary, as we said, going into this halftime, it was 21-14. Nobody scored in the third quarter. Going into that last part of the game, 28-20, 11 plays, 52 yards, 34-39. And then Jimmy Horn Jr., 45 pass from Shedeur Sanders, 7 plays, 98 yards, 130 left in the game to tie it. Overtime, both teams made a touchdown. Second overtime, Colorado made a touchdown, and Colorado State was not able to. They won the game. At the end of the game, coaches shook hands, seemed a bit respectful. 50,000 fans capacity, 53 were in the stadium, probably more. It was packed. The sidelines had a bunch of stars. This was just a massive game. We look at the team stats. The 2 turnovers for Colorado State really cost them. If they could limit that, they probably win this game. But overall, Colorado State played really well, punching up a bit. Colorado State's in the Mountain West Conference. They're now 0-2. They haven't played a conference game yet. But if you can play Colorado Buffs like this, you should go in and try to win the Mountain West Conference if you play like this every game. Colorado's now 3-0 overall. They have not played a Pac-12 conference game yet. They will do this starting next week, as we talked about. First in the conference is USC. They had that bye week this week. Who's Colorado's next 2 games? Number 13, Oregon in Eugene, and then host USC at home. You know that going to potentially be game day. You know it's going to be a lot of cameras, lights there. That will be a massive game. You have Caleb Williams, the current Heisman, potential second Heisman back-to-back, and you got Shedeur Sanders, who could potentially be a Heisman as well. So hopefully everyone's healthy for that game. Not expect Hunter back, but that will be a fun game. Other scores for you. Let's take you through the top 25. Miami blew out Bethune Cookman on Thursday night, 48-7. Georgia, we're going to key this game a little bit, 124-14. You can see in the first half they were down 14-3 at halftime and shut them out in the second half and came back and won. Michigan, last game without Harbaugh, blew them out 31-6 over Bowling Green. Florida State survives against Boston College. We're going to key this game. Boston College shot themselves in the foot, had the most penalties ever in the history of Boston College football, and this cost them the game. And we'll dive into it. Texas beat Wyoming pretty easily. They don't get that game after Alabama lapse where, hey, maybe this is an easier opponent. They come out and win. Ohio State crushed Western Kentucky. Marvin Harrison Jr., 5 receptions, 126 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 was a deep bomb. Penn State beat Illinois, one of their rivals. Good win by them, 30-13. They're 3-0, 1-0 in the Big Ten. Michigan State get whomped 41-7, down 35-0 at halftime. There's a picture on Twitter of all the student section for Michigan State cleared out by this point of the game. They were fed up, done. They're dealing with issues with the head coach Tucker on administrative leave due to sexual harassment claims. So just a lot of turmoil in Michigan State, unfortunately. For them, obviously, if the claims come out to be true, he will not be there anymore. Washington in the Pac-12. moving to the Big Ten after this, so good for them to be the Big Ten opponent. Show them what's up. Notre Dame, comfortable win, 41-17 over Central Michigan. Alabama, not the easiest win, 17-13. We're going to key this game. Alabama was only tied 3-3 at halftime and come out win. Their starting QB got pulled in the third quarter. Their QB for the first 2 games did not even play this game. QB carousel is going around this, so we'll key into that. Florida beat Tennessee, first-ranked opponent to lose here today, 29-16. You can see here that Florida was up 26-7 at half, and Tennessee could just never come back into this. Florida's defense in the swamp was wild. It was deafening. It was loud. Florida's offense was able to move the ball on Tennessee's defense. Big loss for Tennessee. Big SEC matchup to start. Florida, after losing to Utah to start the season, has 2 wins in a row. Be on the lookout for them. They're building some momentum. Probably be ranked after this game. Utah beat Weber State. Oregon beat Hawaii. LSU beat Mississippi State pretty easy. They've bounced back from the loss against Florida State with 2 straight wins. Kansas State lose to Missouri. We're going to key on this game a little bit as well. Missouri with a last-second field goal, 61-yard field goal to win the game. Unreal. Oregon State beat San Diego State. This is potential Mountain West teams next season if Oregon State moves there, or potentially San Diego State moves up to Pac-12 if that's what the whole conference does. So Oregon State showing a dominance. They're 3-0 in the final season Pac-12. Ole Miss rout Georgia Tech 48-23. We talked about Colorado beating Colorado State 43-35. Oklahoma 3-0, 66-17 rout on Tulsa. Just 38-14 at halftime. Was never really a close game. 28-0 after the first quarter. North Carolina beat Minnesota 31-13. Duke 3-0. Ranked number 21 will go higher, 38-14. Washington State, again, the other team in the Pac-12 with no conference yet, 3-0, 2-0 at home, 64-21. So Pac-12 is falling apart, but you can see all these Pac-12 teams are doing really well. UCLA 3-0, 59-7 win over North Carolina Central, and then finally rounding out the top 25, Iowa 41-10 win over West Michigan. So let's key in a couple games. We talked about the Washington Huskies up 38-0 at halftime. Washington, their star player, their QB, Penix Jr., 27-35 passing, 473 yards, 4 touchdowns. Kim from Michigan State, 12-31, 106 yards, 1 interception. Win probability, it was 100% basically in the second quarter, which is wild. You'll never see that. A lot of scores for Washington. Now they're going to Washington. What are they going to do? They're going to be moving into the Pac-12 conference now. Who are their next games? Cal, who's not really playing well, but that's a big rivalry game. And then you got Arizona, Oregon, and then they finish up towards the end of the season. Look at that gauntlet. USC, Utah, Oregon State, Washington State. Who knows if they'll all be ranked at that point, but they need to get these early Pac-12 wins because the back half is going to be crazy. South Carolina lose to Georgia 24-14. South Carolina played a great, valiant effort. 14-3 at half. You feel good. Georgia made some great second half adjustments to come in and shut them down second half. Pitch the shutout. Rattler 22-42, former Oklahoma QB, now over here at South Carolina, 256 yards, 1 interception, 2 touchdowns. Beck, the new QB in for Georgia this year, 269 yards, no touchdowns at all. What did they do to bounce back? You can see here in the third quarter, 7-yard run, 6 plays, 75 yards. Dylan Bell, 3-yard run, 49 yards, 15-yard run. So they really relied on the run. Hey, we're going to pound the town and really focus on getting up the field, imposing our physicality, and out manning them on the run. And on the defensive-wise, they did a really good job at blitzing, containing, and not allowing Georgia to get open. Here you can see 7-yard pass, 31-yard field goal. So they did a nice job there. Moving into the SEC, Georgia's 3-0. Who they got next? It's going to be easy going for them. Auburn's not ranked this year. Kentucky's not ranked this year. Florida's not ranked yet. They probably will be. So currently, if nothing changes, their next ranked matchup is in November. Another month and a half. Do not be surprised if Georgia goes into this game against Ole Miss. I think that puts them 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-0, 9-0. So they should be in the SEC title game if this stands true. We talked about Kansas State versus Missouri. Unreal ending here. That's like what for you. So here you go. Here's the kick. 61-yard attempt, 20-27. And it's good. Could have gone from maybe 63, 64. Kansas State player was hoping to catch it and return it back like the Auburn game, but nope. Missouri Tigers get the W, walk off, beat a ranked team at home. Fans storm the field. You can see here going into halftime, it was 17-14 game, Missouri. Kansas State scored 10 unanswered in the third quarter to make it 27-17. And Missouri scores 13 points in the fourth to win 30-27. When you look at the game probability, you can see here is basically Kansas State. And then with 3rd and 15th, 136, kind of switch over to Missouri when it looked like that they had a chance to get a field goal to win it. Back to even at the kick, and then they got the win because obviously if you miss that, they go to overtime, they get the win. Huge win for Missouri. This puts Kansas State 2-1 overall. Missouri's now 3-0. Best start they've had in quite a while. Their gauntlet of teams, a couple easy games, and you get LSU coming up. That will be a massive game here for SEC. They're in different conferences, but who they play in the SEC East? They're going to get Georgia. That game may decide who moves forward, so hopefully Missouri can keep winning and make that game really entertaining. Other big loss by a ranked team, Tennessee lost to Florida, 16-29. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Tennessee went down at halftime 7-26 and just could never get anything going. We talked about the defense of Florida was suffocating in the swamp. It was loud. It was deafening. Shout out to Antonin. Yes, it's the same Anthony. His brother is in the NFL. 23 carries, 172 yards, and 1 touchdown. Florida had this game under control most of the way, and it was a big win for Florida. So again, Florida's 2-1, bounced back from losing to Utah. Their gauntlet isn't that bad. They'll get Georgia, they'll get LSU, and they'll get Florida State in that interstate rivalry game. Speaking of Florida State walk out of Boston College with a 31-29 win. Florida State almost blew this game, 13 unanswered points in the fourth quarter. Needed 2 more points for Boston College to take it overtime. They did not get it. Florida State is now 3-0. As a title contender against Boston College, who's 1-2, 0-1 in the conference. Not the best win. A lot of flaws here that a team playing in Florida State later in the season will take off the tape. They need to do better defensively. They had a lot of fouls as well. When we look here, this game was loud. I watched this game. It was really fun. 2 turnovers to 1, not terrible. But it was just a bunch of penalties in this game. How Florida State won was they were getting stopped. Ball was going to go back to Boston College, and it was called for a face mask or a personal foul penalty. I forget which one it was. And they were able to take a knee. So this game was almost blown by Florida State. Who are they playing next? Clemson. So we will see how this game goes. Clemson this week. Wrong thing. Who did Clemson play this week? 48-14 win against FAU, pretty easy. Now they get Florida State. This will be a fun game. You can see here that Florida State is predicted to win. Other big teams, they got Duke on their schedule, Miami, and then Florida towards the end of the season. It's funny that Deion Sanders used to be a player of Florida State, and now they're showing him in Colorado. Come on, ESPN. All right, so we'll go over their conference standings, and that will be it for the rest of the episode. So your conference standings, Memphis is right now in the lead in the American Athletic Conference. Only a couple teams have played conference schedule, but they're 3-0. ACC, Duke's in the lead with 3-0. They're 1-0 conference. Florida State's 1 conference. Obviously, it's still extremely early. This will shake itself out. Clemson down here, 0-1 in the conference. Not how they wanted to start. Big 12, TCU's bounced back from that loss to Boulder to start the season. They're now 2-1, 1-0 in the conference. They beat Houston. You can see here, not many people have played yet. This will shake itself out. Big 10 conference is broken up into East and West. You're going to have USC join, Washington join, UCLA join, so this will change next season. 3-0 for Ohio State, Penn State, Rutgers, Maryland, Michigan. So this will all shake itself out when these teams play each other. It's going to be a gauntlet in the Big Ten. Same here for the West. It's not as strong as the Big Ten East, but you got Minnesota in first at 1-0 as they beat a team already in the conference. And then you got the other teams here going through it. Conference USA, Liberty's in first place. FBS Independent, Notre Dame's 4-0, ranked number 9. Who does Notre Dame have coming up on the schedule if they're independent? Let's just quickly show you. They got Ohio State next. That game is going to be fun. It's going to be in Notre Dame, so that it will be loud. We'll see how Ohio State, are they pretenders or contenders? Same with Notre Dame. Then they got Duke. Then they got a Louisville, which is never an easy game, and USC. So we will know how Notre Dame is after these next 4 weeks. They got some crazy games coming up. Mid-American Conference, Ohio Bobcats here. And you got Houston, Michigan Eagles in lead. Mountain West, Air Force in first, 3-0, behind the Fresno State Bulldogs at 3-0. 1-0, they beat Utah State. Again, maybe Oregon State and Washington State come in here. Maybe the Mountain West becomes the Pac-12. We will find out. Speaking of Pac-12, USC is in first at 3-0, 1-0 in conference. They destroyed Stanford. Other teams, you got Buffs at 3-0. You can see here, besides for Arizona State and Stanford, all the teams have winning records. Really good job by Pac-12 last season here, coming out strong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams ranked. This might be the most teams ranked in quite a while for the Pac-12. We will see how this shakes out. This will be gauntlet when they start playing each other. SEC, you have the East and the West, Georgia in first. Then you got Florida. They'll shake each other out when they play each other. You got LSU in first, Ole Miss, Alabama. So this will be a fun SEC. Sun Belt, James Madison and South Alabama in the respective East and West first. And that is it for your standings. Then lastly, Heisman Watch. Who's your Heisman Watch contenders? Caleb Williams is still ranked number 1. He had the week off, so nothing changed. Just he is who he is. QB, Washington, Michael Penix Jr. is ranked number 2. Thrown for more than 400 yards in 5 of his past 7 games. Obviously, he's only played a couple games this season, so he's going back to last season. Dominated. He's got Washington undefeated. Just killed Michigan State, so we'll see how he goes. Colorado QB, Shedeur Sanders. Rockin' did not have 400-plus passing yards this game as he did the previous games. Threw his first interception, but he's got Buffs 3-0. If he plays amazing against Oregon and USC, outplays Caleb Williams, he could shoot to number 1 on this list. 4, Notre Dame QB Sam Hartman, playing really good. He's a transfer over to Notre Dame. Solid team there. Again, we'll see Notre Dame's next 4 weeks if he stays or goes. And then Florida State QB Jordan Travis. Did not play his best game over the weekend. Dropped down a bit, but he's got Florida State undefeated. If they can stay undefeated, continue to see him stay on this list. Thank you for watching College Football Week 3 Review. Comment your thoughts. How did your team do? Is there a team that you think should be ranked that isn't? Is there a team that's ranked that should not be? And then, of course, come back here for your Week 4 preview Thursday, and we'll do the roundup for you every week on the end of the weekend on Sundays. If you want Hoops Roundup, MMA Roundup, European Football Roundup, we have all of it and more. So stay here, subscribe to Randy Silver TV. Thank you for watching the Gridiron Roundup. Enjoy. Bye, y'all.